So once you have come down onto the mat, made the body comfortable, made all those last little adjustments, and just allowing the eyes to close. And let's place the right hand onto the belly, the left hand just above the heart space. And then just tune into that breath, that rise and fall of your belly and your chest. Inhaling and exhaling. Aiming to slow that breathing rhythm down, so you just engage with a slower and calmer breath. So right now, in this moment, the only thing that matters is your breath. As you inhale, expanding into that space around your body. And as you exhale, sinking the body weight down into the ground. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest rising and expanding. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly softening and releasing. Perhaps making your breath slightly more audible. Tuning into that calm, soothing sound. Finding an even, consistent breath. And absorbing your mind in that breathing rhythm, in that breath, that flow. With every exhale, feel yourself softening and grounding. With every inhale, expanding into the space around your body. And just taking a moment to scan through the body, scan your internal landscape, check in with how you feel today. Checking in on that mental, physical, emotional level, even spiritual level if you like. So, and if you don't consider yourself to be a spiritual person, you can think about it in terms of connectedness. How connected do you feel to yourself, your own body? How connected do you feel to those around you? So really just taking stock. And when we take these scans through the body, we're making mental notes of things to be aware of. Maybe physically we have parts of the body that we need to treat with a little more care and attention as we move the body. Perhaps mentally, emotionally, we're feeling a little more delicate today. We might just need to approach our practice from a more nurturing, caring manner. We'll take a few more deep breaths here, just arriving on the mat. Noticing what comes up, what bubbles up. And remembering throughout our yoga mindfulness practices, we're never trying to empty the mind or prevent thoughts from coming in. We watch what bubbles up as we physically release and move the body. And we acknowledge everything that comes into the mind. So take 3 more slightly deeper breaths here. Inhale, expand. Exhale, release. 2 more, breathing in. Exhale. Final round here. Deep breath in through the nose. Let it go through the mouth. And then you can just invite a little bit of movement into the hands and feet, arms, legs, and toes. If your knees are bent, perhaps you are stretching the legs out, maybe reaching your arms up overhead. And we'll get the body moving and see what emotional stuff we can shift through this physical release in the body. So if you have anything underneath the head, just slide it out so that your head is down on your mat. Bend your knees to ground the soles of the feet about hip width apart. And then let's float the arms up overhead into a surrender pose. So backs of the hands on the mat just above your head or onto the floor. Elbows bent out to the sides. And when you do this, if you feel the shoulder blades digging into the ground a little bit, slide them down the back and then curl your tailbone underneath so your back is nice and snug into the ground. Lower, middle, upper spine, all touching the floor or releasing down. Just feeling that length in your back. Breathe up into your chest. As you breathe out, draw the belly in, press into the feet. Let's peel the spine away from the ground, starting to lift the hips up. And just see how the back reacts to this, how it feels this morning. It might be for your first one that you don't lift very high at all. My back is always a bit tight first thing in the morning, so I always just lift it up a little bit. And then on our next exhale, we're going to release back down, massaging that space between the shoulder blades. Releasing one part of the spine after the other. We've got a deep breath in. And then we're exhaling, pressing into the feet. Lifting the hips up. And just starting to feel the backs of the legs activate. And it might be by round 2. Your body feels a little more comfortable already. Mine does already, feels a bit more comfortable lifting this time. We're going to really take our time to roll up and down. So think about it as a massage for the spine. Really trying to tuck the tailbone, lengthen as you lift the hips up. Deep breath in at the top, really take your time so the movement reflects the slow, calm rhythm of your breath. There's no urgency to our breath, there's no urgency to our movement. We can take time bit by bit just to wake up the spine, the muscles in the back of the body. And we can feel the glutes starting to engage and light up. So the more we can engage the muscles in the back of our body, the more we are able to open and release the front of the body. So think about all those areas that get tight from when we sit, muscles across the front of the pelvis and thighs, our quads, the pectoral muscles, those muscles in our chest. So anything that we do that can activate the back line of the body, our posterior chain, makes it easier, more comfortable to stand or sit with a straight back. It makes it easier for us to maintain that optimal posture. So the next time that you lift your hips up off the floor, whenever that is, there's no rush to get there. Hold for a moment. Check that your arms, shoulders are nice and relaxed. And then float the heels up away from the floor. Tuck the tailbone even more at the top. And then start the slowest roll down yet. Really thinking about massaging upper and then middle. And then finally lower back and the pelvis onto the floor. Release the heels down and then just window wiper the knees side to side. Slowly releasing. And then once you've done a couple of window wipers to each side, bring the knees back up towards the ceiling. Hug the knees into your chest, wrapping the arms around the shins, and just let the spine ground onto the floor. A little rock from side to side. Just letting everything ground, everything release. And then taking one hand onto each knee, starting to oil up your hip joints by separating the knees out wide and just starting to circle the legs around. Nice big circles one way. And then reversing, doing a few the other way. So just encouraging those hip joints to glide smoothly as we move through the rest of our practice. And then hug the knees back into the chest. Tuck the hands into the backs of your knees and decide whether you want to rock over to the side of your body to come up, or whether you just want to roll along the length of the spine a few times. So if that feels okay, rolling shoulder blades to sit bones, head, neck staying off the floor so those areas stay really safe. And just enjoying that little bit of a massage for your back. Couple more, back and forward. And then coming all the way up and moving over onto the hands and the knees. So just positioning yourself more towards the front of the mat, hands about shoulder width apart, maybe slightly in front of your shoulders, just so your wrists don't take so much of a load. A little bend in the elbows there to soften. And we're going to take an inhale with a flat back. And then as you exhale, cat stretch. Push the floor away around the spine. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, cow pose, dip the belly down, lift the sit bones, lift the chest. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, cat stretch. Breathing in, breathing out. So again, the speed of the movement is set by your breath. Slightly different breathing rhythm. Moving on the exhale, using the inhale to come back to that neutral spine. And we'll just do a couple more rounds here. I think it was last night in class I was saying how, yoga is a very individual practice, but beautiful when we do it collectively. So when we're all doing our own practice together. But it is easier to follow our own rhythm when we are doing our self-practice. So I guess one of the silver linings of an online class, we're all doing it at the same time, but we can follow our own rhythm because there's no one next to us to keep up with. So just got one more round. And the next time you come back to your flat back, tucking the toes underneath Taking the hands a little bit wider, maybe even knees a little bit wider. And then we're just going into some big hip circles. Hips down to the right, over to the left, coming forward, left hand, coming forward, right hand. And just taking those big, smooth circles with the hips, getting the spine involved, coming all the way around. And just starting to move into those corners, parts of your body that need to be woken up a little bit, that need to be flushed. Whenever you're ready to change direction, just doing a few hip circles the other way. A little bit of free movement there. And then coming all the way back up onto the hands and the knees, keeping the knees wide, drawing the big toes to touch, and just easing back into your child's pose. Let's slide the hands forward, let the forehead rest down, tuning into your breath here. Inhaling, expanding into the back of the rib cage. Exhaling to release the body weight down into your mat. So just taking a moment here to tune into what it feels like to be relaxed. Slow, steady breath, listening to the rhythm of the breath. And just noting, acknowledging during your practice the moments when you might need to come into this pose. Often give it as an alternative, but it's there for you whenever you want to take a break. And we're going to come up on the next inhale, so floating back up onto the hands and the knees, drawing the knees back in underneath the hips, tucking the toes underneath, coming into your, let's say, your normal cat-cow, inhaling to tilt the sit bones up, lift the chest, exhaling to round. Do that one more time, breathing in, breathing out. And we come into our cow pose on the next inhale. As we exhale, we're moving back into downward facing dog. And we have a little bit of time here, about 4 deep breaths. Decide how you want to spend that time. Do you want to close the eyes and just stay still? Or do you want to move your body, bending one knee, pressing the other heel down towards the floor? What does your body need this morning? Inhale, exhale. We've got one more full breath. We're going to lift the heels up nice and high. Lower the knees down onto the mat. Let them lower at the same time. And then breathe in straight into your cow pose again, your extension. Exhale, your flexion cat pose. Breathing in, breathing out. Final time to open the chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. Again, taking a moment there. Do you want to move your body? Are you enjoying that stillness? One isn't necessarily better than the other. It's just what suits you at the time. Might change day to day, might change practice to practice. One more deep breath wherever you are. Inhale, lift the heels nice and high. Exhale, knees down to the ground, coming through your cat-cow. So again, we do 2 full rounds. exhale, curling under. One more breath in to prepare, and then exhale, take it back. Downward facing dog. 4 breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling, breathing into it. And back to this lovely familiar pose. Last inhale and exhale. This time keep the knees off the mat. We're going to lift the heels up, soften the knees and look forward, and then step that right foot forward between the hands. Place that back knee down. So those with delicate knees like me, grab your blanket or cushion, pop it underneath and just come down into your low lunge. Little bit of kind of movement here just to open up hips and hamstrings. We're going to breathe in, try and drop the hips, lift the chest. As we breathe out, we're taking the hips back, and we're going to try and draw those right toes towards the face. So you might work with a straight leg. I know a couple of you lovely open hamstrings. If the hamstrings are a bit tight though, we still get a fab stretch if we keep the knee bent, but feel like we're dragging this right heel back in towards us. So think about right hip going back and your heart going forward. So there's that opposition. One more deep breath here. We'll hold this first round a little longer. And then we're just going to move. We're going to inhale to come forward, drop the hips, lift the chest. We're going to exhale to take it back, hamstrings. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, taking it back. So everything is in time with your breath. If the breathing pattern I suggest just doesn't work for you, doesn't make sense, then change it. Do it another way. So we've got a couple more breaths here, just opening around the pelvis, stretching out backs of the legs. And then when you come back into your lunge, stay there for a moment. Tuck the back toes underneath. Lift that back knee. You don't want to be super wide with our stance. You can bump that back foot in and then come on up into your Crescent Lunge. Oh, now I can see you all. Pressing away through that back heel. Have a little softness in that back knee if you need to. And then float the arms all the way up. Letting the shoulders drop down. We've got a few breaths here. So warming up nice and slowly. I did mention a bit of a leg strengthening theme today. We'll do our first round just to get nice and warm, and then we'll get into a few more active standing poses and sequences. One more deep breath there. Open the heart, reach the fingertips up nice and high. And then as you breathe out, let's frame that front foot. Take a step back, downward dog. Remember, anytime we come into downward dog, you can sub your child's pose in as an alternative. We've got 2 more deep breaths here. So coming back to the symmetry, stabilizing pose of downward dog. Last inhale. Exhale, lift the heels up nice and high. Bend your knees, look forward. This time stepping your left foot up to the left thumb and popping that back knee down onto the mat. Again, coming up onto fingertips, letting your hips drop and your heart lift. We're trying to keep the spine as long as possible as we move. Inhaling here. Exhale to take the hips back, to pull the left toes towards the face. And again, feeling like that heel is about to drag back on the mat. Making sure that if your leg is straight, you're working with a micro bend in the knee. Couple more breaths here, hip moving back, heart moving forward. And then we'll get into a little bit of movement. Just coming forward and then going back. So we just start to ease into those bigger muscle groups. So we always want the balance between mobility and stability in our practice. So a lot of what we'll be doing today to strengthen and really activate the legs, we'll be doing towards the end of the range of motion. So actually we can work on strength and improve our flexibility or our mobility as we do that, because we're doing it from a place of strength rather than just collapsing into our joints and parts of the body that are already flexible. So let's just do one more round there, hips back, and then coming forward. When you're there, tuck the back toes, lift that knee up. Let's float up, coming up into our crescent lunge. Good, looking lovely. Pressing away through that back heel, heart open, letting those shoulders soften down. So a little bit of external rotation from the shoulders. So it's like your little fingers almost coming in towards each other. Couple of deep breaths here. It's a great pose just for building heat. We don't even have to do much. Come back to your slow, steady breath. Last inhale. As you exhale, let's frame that front foot. Let's step ourselves back, downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths. Tuning into that sound. Inhale. Exhale. Last deep breath. And then take your time to step the feet, walk them slowly up to the top of the mat. So it might be that you do this with straight legs, or you might have the knees bent deeply. Just taking your time, encouraging backs of the legs to open a little more as you walk forward. Eventually reaching the top of the mat, setting the feet to hip width apart. Finding a little bit of softness in the knees and allowing the head to drop down towards the ground. Uttanasana, your standing forward fold. And notice if your body weight is all back in your heels. Or maybe just take it back into the heels for a moment. And then see if you can pull the tummy in. Start to tip the body weight more to the balls of the feet without lifting your heels up. And what that helps to do is align the hips and knees over the ankle joints. You'll ask the hamstrings to open a little more, so bend the knees as much as you need to. Bring the hands to shins. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen your spine. So we're trying to find a straight back. If you need to come up higher, go for it. Exhale, bend the knees, release. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Extending the spine. Exhale, release. Final round, breathing in. Breathing out. From here, we'll roll up to standing. Use hands on thighs if you need the support. Otherwise, restacking lower, middle, upper back. At the top, inhale, raise those arms all the way up. As you exhale, bend your knees, sit into your chair pose, your Uttanasana. So again, shifting the body weight a little bit. So typically here we take the body weight forward into the toes, which means we can't see the toes. We want it back in the heels. That helps to light up the glutes a little bit. So sitting back as though you were about to plonk down into a chair, feeling like your knees almost pressing outwards gently. If you bring your hands to the outsides of the legs, just push the legs into the hands, resist with the hands. That's the kind of action we want in the legs in our chair pose. And then let's take body weight into the right foot. Hover your left foot just off the floor. Just off, so you could just slide a bit of paper in underneath, nothing else. So you can feel that right side starting to maybe wobble side to side, starting to stabilize. Whoop. Try and focus your gaze on one point. And then point those left toes back behind you. Take a big step to the back of your mat. Just be careful if you have a blanket there. Land into your crescent lunge. Inhale the arms up. Breathing in there. As you breathe out, bend your arms into a stop sign. Lower that back knee. Just hover it a few inches from the floor. Bring the palms back together. Inhale, raise on up. This time straighten the legs if you want to. Exhale, bend and hover. Hands to prayer. Inhale. Exhale. One more round here, breathing in. Really focusing your gaze will help with your balance. Exhale. Hover. Bring the hands to prayer and then just move back to your crescent lunge legs. Here we add on a little bit. We're going to be working on balance, so you're welcome to watch me demo if you like, and then you can get into it. We're going to take a breath in, raise the arms up, pull left knee into the chest. Exhale, crescent lunge, hands in prayer mudra. Inhale, balance. Belly in, exhale, step it back, land in your lunge. We've got one more like that, ladies. Take an inhale. Exhale, coming back. I lied. We do have one more because we're going to stay there. We're going to inhale, step and hold. Bring the hands to the waist and then really connect into the glutes of your standing leg. Just move back a little bit so I've got room. We're going to point the left toes forward. Inhale, tap the toes down. Exhale, pull your tummy in. Imagine a line attached to that toe being pulled up to the sky. Inhale, down. Exhale, lift. One more time, breathing in. Breathing out. Pull it up. See if you can hold for 3. Pull this thigh bone back for 2. 1. Bend the knee. Take a big step back. Land in your crescent lunge. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, open out into your goddess pose. Wouldn't be a leg strengthening sequence if we didn't have goddess pose. So let's take hands to the hips. Sink a little deeper. Try and press the knees out. So even though we've got a little more body weight to the little toe side of the feet, big toe joints are still on the floor. Take a moment here, sink a little deeper. And then raise the arms up, inhale. Exhale, hands to heart, sink a little deeper. 2 more like this, really building heat in the body. Breathing in, breathing out, a little more. Final breath, inhale. Exhale, hands to heart. Straighten the legs. Turn the toes in. Heel slightly out. And then fold forward. So find a hinging from the hips. We get this moment to stretch out the backs of the legs. Hands can come straight down underneath your shoulders. So if you're up a little higher, bend the knees, come onto fingertips. If you find it easy to get the hands flat, then start to walk the hands between the feet. Again, with our standing forward folds, if all the body weight is back in the heels, it means we're hanging back a little bit, playing it safe. So transfer a little bit more body weight to the balls of the feet. Doesn't have to be all the way, but a little bit more just to help open up the hamstrings. Head is heavy. This counts as an inversion. Head is below the heart, so encourage your breath to slow down. Final breath. And then bringing those hands back underneath your shoulders. We're going to come into a little twist. So remember, I'm not doing your mirror image here. So we're going to place the left hand, our left hand in front of the face. Inhale, take that right arm up. So our Prasarita Paratanasana. That's a mouthful. Take an inhale, reach that right arm up. As you exhale, place that hand down in front of your right toes. Move into your Skandasana, your ninja pose. Left leg straight, left toes up to the sky. Come back up. Inhale into your twist. Exhale, Skandasana, right hand just down next to your right foot. Couple more, breathing in, lift and lengthen. Exhale, it might just be a little bend. If you want to bring your forearm to the thigh as a modification, you can, just a little lean to the side. Final time, breathing in, breathing out, finding your Skandasana. So modify if you need to modify and be up a little higher. Maybe you have hands down for support. If you want to come into the toe balance, hands to heart center. Keep the hips feeling like they're dropping and going back behind you. And then we'll change sides. So you can use the hands, or you can try to keep the palms together as you move up and over to the other side. Right toes up to the sky. And then take the hands down. Left hand just in front of the left foot. Right hand kind of midway between the two feet. Come up, inhale into your twist, left arm up, right hand down. Exhale, ninja pose, Skandasana. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, ninja pose. One more time, breathing in. Breathing out. Come into your ninja pose. I'm not even sure that ninja is the translation for Skandasana, but that's what I call it anyway. So if you try and Google it afterwards and can't find it, that might be why. And then we're going to come back to the front of the mat. So use the hands if you need to. Frame that front foot and then step it back, downward dog. A few options here, depending on how you're feeling now after this quite heat building sequence. Maybe you want to place the knees and rest. Maybe you're happy in your downward dog. If you'd like to move through a vinyasa, you're very welcome to. I know you're all very familiar with your vinyasa, your downward dog to plank, chaturanga, and upward facing dog. So feel free to flow if you would like to. Wherever you are, we'll take 3 more deep breaths. And then take a little bend at the knee. So joining us in downward dog if you're on the mat. Looking forward and taking nice little steps. Maybe trying to keep the legs a little straighter as you walk forward. And this is our hamstring release after the strengthening sequence. Coming forward, feet hip width apart, Uttanasana, holding opposite elbow. Giving yourself a moment here. Coming into a halfway lift. This is to extend the spine and counter that forward fold. Exhale, release. Bend the knees. Roll yourself up. Float the arms at the top. Exhale, sit back, Uttanasana. And change sides for this next round. So again, feeling the knees kind of pressing out. Imagine there's that little bit of resistance there. Weight into your heels. Shift the body weight into your left foot. Pick that right foot just up off the floor. Just unsticking it so that stabilizing has to happen in your left leg. We've got another deep breath. And then pointing those right toes back, taking a big step back, landing in your crescent lunge. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, bend the elbows, hover that back knee just off the floor. Circle the hands back together and up. Exhale, bend the knees just to hover. 2 more rounds, breathing in, breathing out. Last one, we lift up, we bend the knees, and then we find ourselves back in our crescent lunge, setting up for our balance. Arms raise up as that right knee comes into the chest. Exhale, hands back to heart, crescent lunge legs. 2 more like that, breathing in. So really feel that supporting leg, left leg on this side working. It's great glute activation, especially if you've got a day of sitting at your computer ahead of you. Next time we step forward, we pull that right knee into the chest, float the hands to the hips, pull this right thigh bone back into the hip socket, point the toes forward. Inhale, tap the toes to the floor. Exhale, imagine someone else is lifting your leg. It's easier if you imagine someone else doing the hard work. Inhale with your breath. One more time, breathing in. Breathing out, lift. Bend the knee, take a big step back. Open out into your goddess pose. Nice deep breaths there. Sitting low. This time just holding it. Arms in stop sign. Shoulder blades drawing towards each other. Knees drawing back. Hold and breathe. Close the eyes. Tune into your breath. Slow, steady exhales. One more inhale. Exhale, release. Turn the feet straight ahead, hands to hips. Roll your shoulders back, lift the chest. Exhale, start to hinge forward at your hips. And this time, decide whether you want the hands to stay on the waist, whether you want to hold on to opposite elbow, or take the hands back to the mat. So wherever you are, just a standing forward fold to release the glutes, the hamstrings a little bit. Keep the knees nice and safe with a little micro bend or a big bend. And then inhale up. Fingertips underneath the shoulders. Right hand in front of the face, left arm reaching up to the sky. Come into your twist, revolving wide leg, forward fold. Exhale, left hand down just in front of your toes, Skandasana. Inhale, back up into your twist. Exhale, hips down, toes up to the sky. Lovely stretch for those inner hamstrings. One more like that, breathing in, breathing out. If you would like to take the hands off the floor, you can. Be up a little higher if you need airspace in the back of the joint. We'll change sides, so moving over, right knee bent, left toes up to the sky. And then setting up for our twist on this side, left hand halfway between the feet, right fingertips just in front of your right foot. Inhale, hips up, right hand up. Exhale, back into your crouch. Breathing in, lift. Breathing out, looking to left toes. Final time, inhale. And exhale. And from here, let's place the hands around that front foot. Spin around to face the front of your mat. Step back, downward facing dog. We're all going to meet in child's pose. How you get there, totally up to you. Maybe you just want to drop the knees, come straight into it. Perhaps you want to stay in downward dog for a few breaths or move through a vinyasa. We'll meet there in 3 breaths. When you do come into it, take the knees nice and wide, connect the big toes together, and then sit the hips to the heels, hands reaching forward, forehead in contact with the ground. And just tuning back into your breath. Slowing that rhythm all the way down. There's such a difference in our breath during more active aspects of our asana practice compared with when we're passive. And let's take another inhale. And then as you exhale, slowly roll yourself up to sitting on the heels. Move the hips over to the side. Bring your legs around in front. We'll do a little bit of release the hips and our hamstrings. So we'll sit with the hands just back behind us for a moment. Ground the soles of the feet. Slide your hips forward and then cross your left ankle over your right thigh. So you might need a little bit more space to do that. You might need to have your leg extended. Totally up to you to see how it feels for your hips. Keep this left foot flexed and just check that your ankle is in line with your knee. So if the ankle's pulled all the way down, it can actually twist the knee a little bit. So try and keep ankle and knee in one line. And then that might be enough stretch for you. You might need to move your hips in a little higher. If you still need a little bit more sensation, then kind of balance on the hands, press the chest and the shin towards each other. So we're getting release into the left hips, the left glutes. Giving yourself a nice deep breath or two. Maybe a little sway from side to side, just massaging all around that hip. We've got one more deep breath here. And then you can slide that right leg a bit further away. Take your right hand and grab the outside of your left foot. Right hand, left foot. And then pick that leg up. Slide your right leg up to straight. And you can work with a bend in this knee, that's fine. Take your left fingertips behind you for support. You might be able to start extending the leg. If you need to change where you're holding and go for underneath the leg, the ankle or the heel, you can. And then just press down into those left fingertips. Take a look behind you. So we're twisting, but we're doing that with a really straight spine. And then if you'd like to, you can float that back arm up. If you need it for support, keep it down. Nice deep breaths there. You can try flexing your foot, pulling the toes towards the face. And then slowly release. Left foot onto the floor. Take the hands behind you. Ground the feet and just sway the knees a little bit side to side. And then we'll change sides, do a little hip opener on the right side. So just bringing right ankle over the left thigh, bending that knee in. And again, just kind of respecting where your body can go or wants to go. Ankle in line with the knee, right foot flexed, just keeping those joints safe. And then maybe walking the hands in a little bit. You can lift your bum off the floor, swaying. See where you get to, see what works for you. And we're just encouraging that little bit of release in the muscle groups that we were using the most for all of those standing poses and transitions. Couple more breaths there. All right, and setting up for your twist. Slide that left foot forward a little bit. Take your left hand, grab the outside of the right foot. So left hand to right foot. Start to press that heel forward. Keep the right fingertips just down behind you to help you sit taller. Feel free to work with a bend in the knee or reposition your hand. Feel free to straighten the leg if it's accessible. And then just take a look over that right shoulder. But try not to collapse and rely on that back hand too much. We try and bring ourselves up onto the sit bones and pull the tummy in. Maybe that right arm reaches back. Last deep breath in. As you exhale, de-rotate, placing soles of the feet down onto the floor. Inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, roll yourself down. So body is symmetrical. After we do anything asymmetrical, we want to come back to center. Use the hands if you need to. Releasing yourself all the way back onto the mat. Knees draw into the chest. One hand on each knee. We roll the legs out. Maybe you can feel the difference around the hips. Should feel like they glide. And then placing soles of the feet onto the floor, knees up to the ceiling. One spinal roll in your own time. Tucking the tailbone, pressing into the feet, lifting the hips. Deep breath in at the top. Whenever you are ready to roll down, keep that length in your lower back. Take your time. Once your pelvis touches down, you can simply knock the knees against each other, constructive rest. You can let the knees open out to the sides again, Supta Baddha Konasana. You can extend your legs out for your full Shavasana. If you have a blanket or a cushion or something you would like to use in and around the body, under or around the body rather, make sure that you are comfortable and warm for this final relaxation. And really, this pose doesn't signify the end of our yoga practice. This signifies the end of our asana practice. Asana, or the physical aspect of our practice, is just one part of yoga. Now the internal work really begins. Just take a moment, tune into any feedback you're getting from your body. Make any adjustments you need to get really comfortable. Okay, your natural breath returning, but a much slower, calmer natural breath. Feel the body melting down into the ground. Allow your whole body to let go, to switch off, to rest. And just allow your attention to settle on your breathing, just observing the flow of the breath, the movements of the mind. Whole body completely relaxed. And taking a moment while you're here to think of one thing, one person in life that you are very grateful for. Times it's a little hard to think of something that you're grateful for. Just ask yourself the question. Say, what am I grateful for? Let it go and see what pops into your mind. I'm just sitting with that sensation of gratitude. Taking a deep breath in through the nose, letting it go through the mouth. And just allow yourself to move into the space around your body. Maybe you need a big stretch, big movement. Maybe you hardly want to move your body at all. And in fact, if you just want to stay exactly where you are for longer, no need to move. Stay, enjoy your relaxation. And if you're ready to take a big stretch, reach the arms up overhead, turn the fingers and the palms away, and then roll over onto the side of your body, curling up for a moment. Just taking a breath. The calm energy from your practice staying with you as you come up to a comfortable seat. Sitting with a straight back and just feeling the alignment of your spine when you sit tall. Joining the hands together at heart center and Jali Mudra. And exhaling the head down to the heart. Just sealing your practice with this gesture of gratitude. And thank you so much for joining me this morning. So lovely to have you all. Namaste. Thank you guys. Hope you have a beautiful day.